irrigations instead of the modern irrigation, and that is actually comes behind the problems of the water scarcity in this area. The other growing activities actually in the mountain is tourism, and since the construction of the road actually in 2007, that's a spirited road, so it is just 30 minutes and you are in the mountains. So after 2006, actually many tourists visited the areas. So we have more than 50% since 2006, and especially during winters, we have more than 60% of the tourists visiting these areas. And also the number of hotels also increases actually since 2006. We have now 5 big hotels in the area. Now, coming to the water resources, actually, there are three main types of water resources in the area. Groundwater, and actually groundwater is extracted actually via wells. The government has constructed more than 11 wells in the area in order to provide the water, and this is actually drinking water for the people in the mountains. The other type is wadis, and this is actually the valleys with intermittent stream flow, which happens actually after rainfall, and the government has constructed also dams in order to anticipate these wadis or this water coming from the precipitations. And the third type is a flag, as James said. This is very traditional and unique irrigation system in Oman, where mostly actually of the water comes from this afflage are used for irrigation. So as you can see, it is very critical, the water, to survive all these, the people and the agricultural ecosystem in the area. So actually, I did this research actually to see what is happening to water resources, to assess the water resources. Trying to analyze the long-term data on temperature, precipitations, and digging also to other data, including the afflag and the aquifers, and also trying to compile some water balance data and other parameters in order to see what is happening in the area. And you can see this is actually the trends here. You can see the temperature trends here, and there is the maximum, minimum, and mean temperature, and there is actually a dramatic increase in the mean and minimum and minimum temperatures. Okay, since 1979, and that's actually what's happening. The climate change effects also on the mountains, as we will see later. So there's a significance actually differences between the last 3 decades in those data. Also, we looked onto the correlations between temperature and rainfall, and you can see there is a high increase in temperature via a sharp decrease in precipitation in the area, except actually the 1997 peak around 900 millimeters here, the intensive rainfall in these years. So there is actually a highly significance, negatively correlations between the temperature and precipitation. Looking to these are the monitoring data, actually, monitoring stations, actually wells. So looking also on to difference the level of water in the wells. You can see that there is actually a dramatic decrease actually in the water tables, okay, except just the higher rainfall here in 1997. Looking also to the afflag, I said actually the governments conducted in 1997 the national inventory, afflag inventory, and they found in this area there were around 72 afflag. And actually, I tried to do a survey, and I found that around 38 afflag are still active, actually, or dead, flow. Compared to just one village in 1997 was dead, but compared to that 1997 and 2012, as you can see, there is a decrease actually in the number of applage in the area. Also, and that's actually reflected to the water flow rates in the applage, and these are I tried to do also correlations between the precipitations, rainfall, and the flow rate in those applage. These are the 5 main applage in the area, and you can see there is also a decrease in the flow rate of those main applage, which actually mostly of those applage are used for irrigations, and that's why actually most of the agriculture actually in this area are affected by the water scarcity. So putting together all those components, actually the rainfall, the evapotranspirations, the direct recharge, and the uses of these waters, actually the groundwaters, the applage waters, and the uses by agriculture, by urban areas. So we come with the water balance. The water balance in these areas, and we found a deficit actually around 10 million cubic meter per year, okay, as the calculations showed, taking into account actually, the inputs and the outputs from the watershed system. Okay, so actually to cope with some of those problems of water resources in these areas, the governments have tried to constructed or conducted so many projects, actually including the maintaining of some of the irrigation system, the applage system, where try to rebuild, okay, or reconstruct the applage channels, okay, from blocks and cements to decrease the water losses through the irrigation systems. Also, the government has constructed more than 50 dams, 50 storage dams in the area in order to anticipate the rainfall, and most of the water is used for agriculture and for livestock. Also, the government has constructed 3 wastewater treatment plants, and this is actually tertiary treated water, and in order to reuse of this treated water for basically for irrigation. And so farmers actually tried to mix the treated wastewater with the applage water in order to irrigate their pomegranate and roses, basically. And finally, also the government has established more than 10 cloud seeding systems, more than 10, scattered all over Oman. Okay, basically they are located in the mountainous region, and this is one of the system located in Al Jabal Al Akhtar. So just to take home messages, actually mountains are very essential natural ecosystem for water. So we have to take care about this water, about these ecosystems. Jabal Akhtar, the water resources is very depleted because of the anthropogenic activities as well as the climate change. So we need actually the long-term strategy along with the implementation of integrated water resources management in the area, and we need also urgent need for nature-based solutions to water challenges, and also to increase. Actually, we have some implementation of water harvesting systems, but we have to also reuse of grey water, for example, and treated wastewaters to cope some of the water shortage and water scarcity in the regions. Full coordinations and integrations with different organizations responsible for water resources, very important, and also further research needed also to look onto long-term data, specifically the climate change and also the water tables and applied data. And very important also to see also actually if we can, as MENA region, Middle East and North Africa, even if we can also do some comparative studies between different mountains in this region and to see what is actually happening in the mountains in these regions. It will be very important actually and very also to come with actually a good conclusion what is happening to the water resources in these regions. By that, actually, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. Thank you also for your work of surveying the aflaj in the mountains. I didn't know about this, that the numbers are reducing. It shows that we really need to protect our traditional knowledge and find ways to ensure that there are ways to protect and ensure, because, again, the talk about nature-based solutions and traditional knowledge can be a very effective way to protect, especially in these mountain communities that are being faced by increased development trends. So we've had a lot of interesting case studies and examples and solutions provided. If I could prevail on you, maybe 10 minutes. I know lunch is starting, but if we can have some questions and answers to the panel. Also, Aqua Shares, again, our colleagues are here, and Dr. Mona was here. If there's anything else with the BGR colleague. But if there's any questions, please, if you'd like to ask any of our speakers, an inquiry. Doctor, Your Excellency.
I got a question to
Mike.
I can raise my voice.
The interpreters. And in advance, I'm thanking the interpreters because I know we are speaking very quickly. Get up here.
Yes.
Yeah, Doctor.
Thank you for all the panelists for the distinguished presentations. But I got a question to our friend from Oman. And in particular for the last picture that I saw, which relatively large flow of flage from the mountains. I think you said the Green Mountain. Does the amount of flow coincides with the watershed balance? Is it more? Is it less? Or you don't have such a water balance study on that? Because as I was discussing with our friend from the Emirates, at a high mountain to get this amount looks maybe a bit strange, huh? Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take like maybe 2-3 questions so that we can just economize on time. Are there any other questions? Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Jean Lepeg, Action Against Hunger. I think it's really fascinating to see the big amount of data we have to characterize the risk on the aquifers and on the groundwater resource. I was thinking how we can use at best this data to influence the climate change agenda more globally. What is the process that is going to connect all this knowledge with influencing politics at high level to protect the resource? I would like us to think a little how we could do that, make this transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think there was just one question. Sir?
Thank you. In fact, my question is to Mr. James Wakeman. I don't know if there is anybody to answer or...
Their colleagues are here. Someone wants
Okay,
to
it's
come
a
up.
simple question. He talked about the aqua shares and some kind of incentives for reducing water use. Is this something like the airline mileage, or is it a real money to be repaid back to people? And who do that? Who will manage this process?
All right. Susan, why don't you come up here? Okay. Can we start, Dr. Mohammed, would you like to respond then? And then we can, on the groundwater, if BGR might want to have, or Dr. in the Sus region, and then Susan, maybe you can respond afterwards.
Okay, thanks, Harold. Regarding the water balance, the government of Oman has conducted many research or water balance. One of them was in 2000s, okay, covering all Oman, okay, and then they conducted actually another water balance in 2013, and this is actually published. And taking into account actually the different geographical locations, either mountainous regions, or the desert areas. And as I mentioned actually in the presentation, this is just, I mean, this is not in the water in the Jabal Akhdar as an area. Okay, they're talking about the all catchments area. More than, or they found 10 million cubic meter per year, the water deficits for the whole catchments area, not for the, for that particular Jabal Akhdar where the actual peoples are living. So this is what I mean, the outcomes for the water balance. Yeah.
Much broader when we think about the basin and the whole
Yes.
Kharkov. We have two experts here, groundwater experts. Anyone would like to comment on groundwater and the linkage to climate change? Engineer Amgar, perhaps?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. التجارب التي عشناها في المملكة المغربية أظهرت أن الوسائل العلمية والبحث العلمي وحده غير كافي. إذن فلا بد من طبيعة الحال تقوية البحث العلمي، ولكن في نفس الوقت لا بد من الجلوس إلى طاولة الحوار مع جميع المعنيين بتدبير الموارد المائية لإيجاد توافق ما بين الاقتصادي، بين السياسي، وبين العلمي. إذن فالوسيلة الوحيدة فالقانون لوحده لا يكفي، العلم لوحده لا يكفي. إذن لا بد من وجود توافق بين جميع المكونات وجميع الاستعمالات، وتقديم تنازلات من هذا الطرف ومن طرف آخر للوصول إلى توافق ووضع الهدف الأسمى والهدف الرئيسي هو ضمان تنمية المنطقة وضمان النمو الاقتصادي في الجهة والتفكير في الأجيال المقبلة. إذن فبالنسبة لنا فالتجربة التي عشناها في منطقة سوس مسا أظهرت أن التنسيق والتشارك وإشراك المستعملين بالخصوص في اتخاذ القرار هي الوسيلة الوحيدة لحد الآن التي أبانت عن انخراط الجميع في تنمية الموارد المائية. وشكرا.
Thank you very much. Yes, especially now with climate action, one of the